Okay, so we've had a couple cases. Previous video we talked about Bullock, felon in possession of firearm found to be unconstitutional. We got a previous video on Bullock that states that, but there, so the Bullock was actually at the district level. In the federal system, once you leave the district level, then you appeal to one of the circuits. So now we've got a couple of these cases in the circuit that have actually been favorable to anybody that's been convicted and wanting to carry a gun in the future. So as we've talked about before, the Second Amendment, it says that you have a right to bear arms. It's pretty clear. It's period. It doesn't say if you become a felon that right's gone for all, for the rest of your life, which is what's been done in the past. So if you had a felony in the past, you basically could not carry a gun, couldn't protect yourself, couldn't carry a gun. Your Second Amendment right just gone for the rest of your life. Me and a lot of other people, including Vic, we do not think that's right. Literally, got a best friend of mine doing a lot of time for possession of ammunition, not even a bullet. So it's not just guns. Ammunition and guns can get you an obscene amount of time in prison. So now, what we're talking about today, we've got a couple cases. Bullock in the district where the judge did agree that felon possession of a firearm, that charge is unconstitutional based on the Second Amendment. I think that's exactly correct. Again, now we have some cases in the circuit that have went the same way. We got Jackson and a few others. I believe they're in the fifth or the third. Anybody following this stuff, if you could put in the comments exactly what circuit some of those other cases are in that have been won. I believe Jackson's one, but there's several of them. But today we're just talking in general about all of them. And I want y'all to comment, if you're a convicted felon and you're following this and you're interested in getting your guns right back, tell us, where you're from, how long you've been out, been doing good, and just how you feel about that. You could got in trouble at any time. You could literally got in trouble at 18 and got into a fight. Let's say you at the club, got into a fight, and now you got a felony battery or something like that, and now for the rest of your life, your gun rights are gone. I think that's wrong. I think it's in violation of the Constitution, and I think these judges here have ruled on the right track. Some of you lawyers, paralegals and stuff that have more knowledge in legal stuff than me, tell me, what do you think? These cases, as they leave the circuit, and I'm thinking, hoping, and you tell me if you're right, I'm thinking some of these are going to go to the United States Supreme Court. And I want to know how you guys think they're going to rule on this. Do you think the justices that we have now, which I think the court, where you would agree the court leans to the right now, and a lot of those conservative right, I think they may agree that this whole, any type of gun law is just unconstitutional, period. And maybe they get rid of some things like 922G and some of these other gun laws, in fact, all of them. We have our reporter, RJ, here today. She's going to run through just a few questions with us.
Yes.
And go ahead, RJ, you can jump in right now.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering, how do you feel? Do you feel that you should, as you have a charge, right, of having a gun, correct?
So the charge can actually be any felony. So
okay.
Any felony. So let's say at 19 you went to the club in Tampa, you got in a fight, and you got charged with felony battery. So that felony there would preclude you from owning any type of firearm or ammunition for the rest of your life. Besides the little black powder thing where they can go in there, I don't want to carry a black powder.
Okay, so my question is basically, do you feel that you should be able to have your rights to return back to you after a certain amount of years, or you mean?
So in my opinion, absolutely, not even after a certain amount of years. After you do your time, so just say you were convicted of battery and you had to do 2 years in prison. As soon as you are released from prison, I think all rights should be restored. Voting rights, gun rights, all type of rights. And when you see this in the past, some of our viewers have even commented, there's still some laws on the book. Like when you used to get out of prison, say in 1880, and you got out of prison, you got your gun belt back, you got everything back. There was no even thinking of, you're banned from carrying a gun for the rest of your life. So that's, the issue, as far as what we're talking about here today. And I do appreciate you for coming on and interviewing me. And, that's all.
Sure, no problem.
So you go ahead if you got some more questions.
There's people who want to know more about this. Okay, so what kind of action would they have to go through in order to even to begin to even try to fight that while they have time?
Some states do will make you go through, like they say, hey, you have to be out for a certain amount of time, and you can apply and hopefully get them back. Different states have different rules when it comes to that. The federal law, you will probably still be in violation of that. Not sure on that, but again, to me, any type of gun law is just unconstitutional. And I understand from both points of view. People who say, oh, well, we don't want felons to carry guns. We're afraid they may do something. And if you are afraid of that, again, one, I would say, again, all through before the 1930s when they passed, I think it was in the 1930s they passed the law saying felonies could not, it was illegal for a felon to possess a firearm. Before that, you have over 100 years of felons possessing firearms, and it was no issue. So again, I believe.
Well, that you said, like you said, back in the 1930s. So my thing is now, you don't believe somebody who could be possibly having revenge on their mind, who comes out of prison and they get their rights back just like that? Shouldn't it be like a time period before they can get it back? Something of that nature?
No, it should be no time period at all. I'm not afraid somebody has revenge on their mind, and that's just part of what you have in a free society that is allowed to carry guns and protect themselves. Yeah, you're gonna have crazies at some point to do anything. I make a analogy that I brought up the other day, and I'll make it to you here, and you can tell me what you think. So if let's just say again, it don't have to be a gun charge, it could have been a battery. But in this analogy here, let's just say I'm a pastor. And say I was defrauding or scamming my, church members with, scamming them out of stuff, taking their money and not using what it was supposed to be, stealing money from the church, scamming, basically, violating, using religion to steal from the petitioners at the church. And I bring that up to say, so if a pastor does that and he goes to prison, should his right to freedom of religion be gone for the rest of his life? Because that's the same thing. Taking someone's right. Should a person who's in the press, a reporter who does something illegal, and let's just say they break whatever rule, and they bring up who gave them information, it was supposed to be like a hidden source, or whatever rules that the reporters have, or they reported on something that was not supposed to be reported on. So for the rest of their life, should their right for freedom to speech, or freedom of speech, or freedom of press, being able to do, should they be banned from that for the rest of their life? Okay. Should the pastor never be able to practice religion again? I think that's... those are two different things. One of them you can get hurt, possibly die from. The other one, they'll just go to jail, or however that case may be for the religion part. But you may be able to get hurt or die from possession of a gun, but it's still the same thing. If a pastor uses his position and he scams scams his petitioners out of money or whatever, he goes to prison for fraud. When he gets out, then shouldn't he also be banned from his right to religion, freedom of religion?
No,
I think
like
that's
you said,
the same thing.
Well,
then why do you ban and I'm asking you here, why ban someone who got in trouble because of a firearm? Why are their right, or why is that gone for the rest of their life? Possibly
killed somebody. It depends on, actually, I should say, it depends on the charge. I'm not going against them getting their rights back, but it's more so of what the charge was.
Yeah,
if it was just possession, then it's like, if nobody can basically get in trouble for having a gun, I'm saying it right, excuse me. If they're able to get their gun back after, or get their rights back after they've been in jail for firing it or using it in the wrongful way, then what's the use of having a gun, going to jail or getting in trouble for having a gun or doing anything with a gun, if you're going to be able to get it right back, be able to get a gun right back in your hands when you come out?
The same thing that they did for all the time before 1920.
And that's why they changed it. That's why now they have a law on it because of all of that.
But you can't change a law that's unconstitutional based on the Second Amendment. Our Second Amendment says you have the right to bear arms. It does not say, and again,
well, they have another law up there, I believe. I'm not sure. I can't quite.
No,
I thought they do have another law.
No, nothing contradicts that. The Constitution supersedes, and the Constitution says, we the people, you have a right to bear arms. Now, I do have another associate of mine that brought up a point of the due process. Of course, your rights can't be taken away without due process. And I believe due process strictly for while you're in prison. So yes, if you're convicted of something and you're in prison, yes, you don't get your gun in prison. Your rights are taken while you're in prison serving your sentence. When that sentence is done, according to the Constitution and everything we've seen in the past, and when you look at the historical events of this, you got your gun back. Again, it was only when some certain judges got up there and all of a sudden decided, yeah, we're going to make it illegal for a felony possession gun. Like, that just popped up out of nowhere. The Constitution is not to be changed. It doesn't change on the whims of, you know, how society feels at this time.
They probably added something more to it for it.
No, been nothing added
not
to
it. Not to that particular amendment, but added an extra amendment, or added another amendment, or somewhere in the other amendments. See, I haven't had it. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me to be able to answer that.
So I'm telling you, they did not change the amendment. And in fact, if the American society is afraid of felons carrying guns, and that's if they're, and I'm respectful of that. If the society is afraid of convicted felons carrying guns, then you need to amend the Constitution, and you need to follow the rules of how you amend it. You know, I believe that goes to the states, and a certain amount of states, 3/5 or whatever of the states have to agree to it. Then you can amend the Constitution. Then you amend the Second Amendment and say, hey, we have the right to carry, to bear arms unless you are convicted of a felony, then that right goes away. If you want that, then make it clear, amend the Constitution like you say. And I agree with you, the Constitution needs to be amended. But what you cannot do is just interpret to what the society thinks today, because you think society thinks this group of people are dangerous and that they shouldn't be able to carry their firearms. Tomorrow, and I'll tell you why that's a slippery slope. Tomorrow they may think religion is dangerous and start banning religions, and people will say, oh, well, religion causes so much death in the world, we need to ban that. No, the Constitution was not subject, again, to the whims of how society feels at the time. So to me, I don't think it's all this dangerous to have felons with guns. I don't think that's the case. But again, if you do, it doesn't matter, because the Constitution is not to be changed just because of what society thinks at the time.
Well, I absolutely understand where you're coming from. I do. It's just that times back in those times when the one man would come out of jail, and he would go up there to the desk and get his firearm back along with his belt, however, but they didn't retaliate right away.
I did wrong, and people back then were more likely to retaliate.
Well,
in the cowboy. Wait, let me finish. So back in the cowboy, no, you're fine. Back in the cowboy days, I would submit to you, they were even more likely to do something, because back in those days, if you hurt my brother or killed my brother, that was just how it was. Somebody retaliated about that. That's far less likely today. So I would submit the argument is just the opposite, if from people who back in the day when they got their guns back.
Okay, so that's just proving my point. You just further prove my point.
How
Why
so?
they should, well, they have, even though they haven't, however, like I said, I haven't done my studies on the amendment.
That's okay, that's what I'm here for, but you go ahead.
So, but since they haven't made the amendment to where it should, where they add into that they will be punished, or they can't hold guns any longer, however, it's some reason, I'm sure somebody has put that up in their case.
No, well, you would think that, but no. All that happens is somebody brings a case, it ends up at the United States Supreme Court, and the 9 people at the time, the justice at the time, have decided that, oh yeah, we're gonna make it illegal, and there's no basis for it, because again, it's clearly in contradiction to what the Second Amendment says. They try and go around it, they try and put whatever, but it's clearly in violation of the Second Amendment, and that's why you see now these courts that we've got some of these judges that are relooking at this, and finally, I guess, I don't know why it's taking so long, but yeah, they're ruling now that no, that's unconstitutional. Felony possession of a firearm has been ruled unconstitutional in a district court and at least 1 or 2 circuit courts that I'm aware of.
So what law are they going by?
The law
what law are they, since they're not listening to the amendments,
Well, they are listening to them. As far as these judges here, they are listening to the amendments. That's what they're ruling it. So the law says, hey, felon, you can't possess a firearm. Now you can make a law. Let's say you're governor of Florida.
Well, that's what I said. Amendment, not laws. Amendment. So therefore, they're following the laws, not the amendments.
No,
because you just said that with the law, the Second Amendment, you know, the possession of firearm. So therefore, if a person now they have a law that says if you're a felon, you can't have possession of firearm any longer.
So this is how our government system works. You cannot create a law. Let's say you're the governor of Florida, right? So can you create a law that say, hey, black people can no longer work in the government in the state of Florida? Can you pass that law?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not the person who makes those.
No,
laws.
if you were the governor of Florida and you passed that law, you say, hey, well, black people can't work in government in Florida. Why can't you do that?
That's going against. It's just going for just a race.
No, so what you're trying to say, you're right on point. I mean, what you're trying to say is it's unconstitutional. The Constitution says you cannot be biased or use race. That's a discrimination. I got my words a little mixed up, but it basically you can't discriminate because of race. That's in the Constitution. That's what keeps you from making that law. So the same thing for the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. You can't make a law saying, hey, you can't bear arms. You can't do that. Unconstitutional. So that's what keeps you from, not you of course, but that's what would keep, the governor of some state saying, hey, I don't want black people to be this. I don't want women to be, I don't want, you know what, in my state, let's say I'm the governor of Mississippi, and I say, you know what, I don't think women should be voting. They just don't really have good sense, they're too emotional, and we're going to take the rights away from voters. And this is why you can't, the Constitution supersedes that. And when you pass a law that violates the Constitution, the law is struck down and you can't do it. And that's what they're basing. That's why some of these judges now are striking, saying the felony possession of firearm. They said, nah, you can't do that. The Second Amendment right here says right to bear arms. So, very good questions, RJ. I know, like I say, it's complicated. I don't know all of it either. So again, if any of y'all, any of the watchers, subscribers, y'all in the law, one, if you put a couple of these cases down in your comments, like I said, I know we got several now in the circuit. Two, let me know when these cases reach the United States Supreme Court. Do you think in this environment with the justice we have now that they will strike down these, felony possession of firearm laws saying they're unconstitutional? Or do you think the United States Supreme Court will override these things and say, yes, it is constitutional, felons cannot possess firearms? So y'all get in here, comment on it. Vic,
one more
make
question.
some comments on it. Sure, go ahead, RJ.
One more question. So, and thank you for inviting me to do this with you. Also, now, for the people who are in jail for possession of a weapon, not because of a felony, being a felon or however, do you think they should be released?
Yes, I think they should be immediate release. Now, that's my thinking. I think they should be immediately released if you're in there for, like you're saying, just for possession of firearm or ammunition, nothing else, just that.
But even though they're a felon?
Yeah, the charge is unconstitutional. They should have never been they should have never been in prison in the first place.
There you go.
So yes, I believe they should be immediately released. Now I don't know how the courts would do that. They have something called where they make stuff retroactive. Again, I think they should make it. I believe it would be called retroactive and immediately release everybody. But they may make people, file appeals and all that. So I don't know how they're going to handle. Our first step is to see what the United States Supreme Court is going to do on this issue. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So that's going to pretty much do it for this one. Mr. RJ, thanks for having me.
All right.
I really appreciate. Thank you. I really appreciate the questions. Some of the questions were really good. I know this can be kind of confusing, but the questions were really good. I'm hoping a lot of the watchers please like this video so that it goes out to more like-minded people like this. And again, I understand I understand the issue. Understand, you got some bad people in society, but I'll say this: it's just like, should we allow? We got terrorists. There's, for a long time, it's dying down now, but we had a big fright about terrorists after 9/11 and everything. Terrorist sales maybe in the United States. So should we just let the police search everybody's house, you know what I mean? Because we got terrorists here, we got some bad people here, maybe some stuff going on. So just get rid of the, get rid of the search and procedures that you need a warrant to search or some probable cause. It's just search everybody's house, you know what I mean? I don't think that you can let freedom, I don't think that you can take people's freedom and rights under the guise of we're trying to protect society. I want to protect society, I want to good too, but not at the risk or not at the cost of taking people's rights away, is my opinion of that. And that's going to pretty much do it, RJ, I think.
All right.
All right, y'all, please subscribe, like, comment on the videos, and we will see you on the next one.
Yes, please. Thank you all.